And to feel all the love, yes, the room is full of love today, and I'm so excited about that. This morning, we got to experience some of the data and impact of DKI. We got to dance and rock in our seats a little bit with Domingo and friends. I'm trying to be a friend. We got to hear about the history and the roots of Harlem of the West. And this afternoon, we want to continue to invite that art and culture with the afternoon program. So before I introduce the first number, I just want to tell you what's to follow. We're going to hear from some amazing panelists about what they're doing to advance Black farming, to reclaim land and cultivate the land, to feed our spirits, to feed our culture. We're going to hear from Alicia Garza, special guest, who will be here talking about civic engagement and people power. And then again, we're going to wrap the day with our keynote with Dr. Bettina Love, who's the author of Punished for Dreaming. So we have an exciting afternoon prepared for you today. So Alonzo King Lines Ballet is an internationally celebrated contemporary ballet company guided by the artistic vision of acclaimed choreographer Alonzo King since 1982. With the support of the Dreamkeeper Initiative's Brighter Futures grant, Alonzo King Lines Ballet amplifies its investment in the imagination and creativity of Black youth through an expansion of its dance education programs, Heart with Lines, scholarships to teens at Lines, and the Lines training program, and paid administrative and teaching positions. So, performing today and who you will see next on the stage are dancers representing these Lines programs, Brooke Terry, Giovanna Sals, and Julia Sals, in a work they have created entitled Reflections.
a farmer, father, and community person. I grow grapes in San Francisco. I've been in wine for probably 5 to 6 years from restaurants. I was the only African-American person that worked on the floor serving wine. So when looking at bottles in the cellar, I noticed that there were these domains, chateaus, people having generational wealth. And it made me just kind of think about, like, wow, like Black people like myself don't have this. My family from Louisiana has slowly been losing their land for years. And I know that that land was purchased by people that were formerly, like, enslaved. This is something I have to do for them. I know too much history of how land and real estate has been used against Black people that I have to do something to fix it. Finding this piece of land at Alamany was kind of my way of forcing myself into the industry. Alamany Farm is a public park, 3.5 acres in the middle of the city. This farm is 100% free produce. Anything that you want on the farm, you can take. They ask that you only take what you need for your family or yourself. Every major park in the city should be like this. Dolores Park needs 20% dedicated to agriculture. Golden Gate Park, 20%. If every neighborhood had this, imagine what the people in the neighborhoods that didn't have enough would be able to do. They're actually sweet. That's cool. Nature's working. Nature's doing its thing. It's crazy that this public farm is like right next to the project and the Black people don't feel comfortable coming in. But I also look at the city and I look at, why would you put a giant fence around it? Is the fence for the projects or is the fence for the farm? Who's keeping who out, you know? I feel like as the Black man on this property that I get to actually be the face and be the trust that bridges the gap. I look at every inch of this farm and I'm like, wow, everything about it is Black healing, it's brown healing. It's all stuff that like we need to remember. Knowing where okra comes from, where collards come from, knowing that Black women brought them in their hair from across like the ocean to save themselves, to grow food. Knowing that Black people were picked for their agricultural skills and that's why they were on plantations. And it's like, if you replace that knowledge, I think people will start to feel empowered and feel like, I want my land back. Right here is a collection of vines that I've been getting from all types of places all over California. I have a bunch of stuff from Paso Robles, which is really cool. I got Kunwa. I have some old Zinfandel. What else? Japanese Burgundy. I'm gonna eventually build this like crazy library, this like living library space that other people can also come and like learn about, propagate from. I'd love to be the Black nerd. I really do. I want to be the Black nerd and like let other Black kids know they can be Black nerds and they can nerd out and we can make money and livings and write books and do whatever we want. Plant related, money related, life related, you know? I think about valuing your time. I think about valuing your energy. I'm always looking to figure out how I can get something done, even if it's the same thing, and looking at it 50 different ways. You know, it's like I never give up on the things that I want. And I think that's being an entrepreneur, is like not giving up and seeing it through.
So today we're going to talk about Black food, Black land, Black food and land sovereignty. Now coming to the stage, we have Kelly D. Carlisle. Kelly is the founder and executive director of Acta Non Verba, is a veteran of the U.S. Navy, and has been a recipient of many awards, including the Navy and Marine Corps Achievement Medal, Veteran of the Year for the 18th Assembly District, the L.A. Potts Success Stories Award from Tuskegee University, the Girls Inc. of the Island Cities 2016 Women Who Dare Award, and the 2016 Calvet Trailblazer Award. Kelly is awarded, yes. She is an avid gardener and is a former Alameda County Master Gardener trainee. She is an active member of the Farmer Veteran Coalition. Ms. Carlisle was selected as one of the 200 U.S. delegates to Slow Food International's Terra Madre and Salon del Gusto in 2012 and 2014. Ms. Carlisle is the December 2011 Bon Appetit Good Food Fellow. She has worked with and mentored preteen and teenage youth since the age of 14, is a native of East Oakland. Yeah, was holding on for it. She is committed to creating positive change in her childhood city. Kelly's work has been honored at the White House by President Barack Obama, and she has been selected as a 2020 Castanea Fellow. And I'm blessed to be one of Kelly's board members at Acta Non Verba Youth Community Farm. Now coming to the stage, we have Paula J. Harrell. P. Harrell Wines was founded by winemaker and San Francisco native Paula J. Harrell. Paula received a BA in History and Spanish from UCLA, during which time she studied abroad in Madrid, Spain, where her interest in wine began. After this, she began assisting her father with real estate holdings, buying and selling and renting several properties in San Francisco, which piqued her interest to build her own real estate investment portfolio. Paula went on to pursue her MBA from San Francisco State University and has a long-standing career in real estate and mortgage finance. Since completing her undergraduate studies, Paula made it a priority to learn everything she could about wine. She purchased a timeshare in Napa and spent all of her free time visiting wineries, gleaning knowledge, technique, and education from winemakers, taking classes, participating in blending sessions, and immersing herself in the culture. After years of engaging, these are great, good long bios, y'all. After years of engaging in wine and culture as a hobby, Paula's great passion and appreciation for all things wine led her to finally make her own and start a business in 2015. Since its inception, P. Harrell Wines has made quite an impact. The wines are carried across a number of stores, restaurants, and tasting rooms, not only in the Bay, but in Southern California. In addition, several of the wines in her portfolio have won the SF Chronicle Wine Competition, Orange County Wine Fair Competition, and Sunset Magazine Wine Competition. She has been featured in Women of Wine, Sonoma County, and interviewed widely for her contribution to diversity in the industry. She was named Tastemaker by Bon Appetit magazine. American Airlines boasts 2 of the wines in several of their transatlantic flights, and her wine is featured in the Hulu series The Conversation Project, and soon to be featured on the new release of a series on Tubi next month. P. Harrell Wines is a proud member of Oakland African American Chamber of Commerce, the African American Association of Vintners, the National Black MBA Association, and serves as a co-founder and board member of the Oakland International Film Festival, and still here SF415. Great.
Thank you.
Great. And last but not least, we have Christopher Renfro, who we saw in the video. Come on out to the stage. A movie star. So because the video did such a good job, I'm going to shorten this a little bit. So Christopher is a San Francisco-based urban viticulturalist and a nonprofit co-founder actively making change in the wine industry, and is the co-founder of the 280 Project. He has been living in the Bay Area for the last 20 years, moved to San Francisco in pursuit of a career in design, but quickly found that his passion for food, nature, and entrepreneurship and justice would take him where he wanted to be. In 2019, he was able to become the steward of San Francisco's only vineyard at Alamany Farms in Bernal Heights. And he felt that having access to youth in this neighborhood and his previous connections in wine, he could start something beneficial. Another essential part of the farm that he's working on, they have an outdoor kitchen where he hosts farm-to-table dinners cooked by chefs. And he and his business partner Haley started Feed the People Collective and have been feeding the neighborhood with the help of volunteers for free for the last 10 months. Everything they cook is purchased with money donated by the people who support their cause. And besides feeding the community, they've also organized regular trash cleanups around the Bay, and they also hand out hygiene kits once a month to the neighborhood. With the vision, hygiene is important. With the vision, mentorship, and resources to provide a good living, he believes that we can put the power back into the community's hands and accomplish our goals. All right, let's give it up for our panelists. So just to ground us in this conversation, we're going to talk about Black food and land. We know Black Americans in food, wine, and hospitality and agriculture continue to face systemic barriers and have been disproportionately impacted by the long shadow of slavery, Jim Crow, persistent wealth and health inequities, and lack of access to capital and land. So I work in Black food and Black farming, and we talk a lot about this with our community members, that in 1910, African Americans made up about 14% of landowners and farmers, and today it's less than 1.2%. And in California, the numbers are even more dire. In the 2017 USDA census, out of 125,000 producers, only 425 of those were African American. So given this history of colonization, wealth inequity, the ongoing climate crisis, there needs to be a change in the industry, and it's imminent and it's necessary. These Black leaders have uplifted, innovated, community-based models to center Black food, culture, and traditions, and provide market opportunities, as well as health and wealth and power in the Black Bay Area communities and beyond. So not only will we learn about these stories, we'll also learn how we can support these efforts and learn that the future of food is Black. Yeah. So this is a question for all panelists. Each of you have started or intertwined your work with a deep focus and support and direct service to our community. Why is this a focal point for you? Why is direct service and community work a focal point? I'll give that to Kelly to start. Sorry.
Happy Black History Month, everybody. It's my mom's favorite month. Why is it important?
Why is it so important to center our community in the work that you do?
Indirect services.
Direct services, yep.
So I don't know if y'all know that in some circles, direct services is seen as less than, right? Like our organization has been called the babysitters of the movement, you know what I mean? Like while the big conversations are going on, we're doing the little stuff like feeding people and, you know, making sure their children are safe and engaged, you know? It's important because we are on the ground with community. We see mommies struggling with their babies. We see them struggling to vote and have children, to work and have children, to sleep, to rest and have children. You know, for our work, it is crucial that we are standing in the void of services for families to be able to do all of the big work, big and small. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go next. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Happy Black History Month, everybody.
Happy Black History Month.
So for me personally, community has always been very important to me and my family, just as I believe it is for most people of color. My mother's family came from Panama, and she came by herself at 21 and made a life for herself here. And I grew up with our family constantly bringing in other people and taking in other people and helping. Everybody was helping one another make something better for themselves. And so then my father and my grandmother had residential care home facilities for the elderly around San Francisco, and I grew up in that business. And the way I always saw it is, as you help others, that's how we all progress. And so even when I started at my wine business, it was very important to me because nobody in the wine country ever looked like me. It was always just me and everybody else. And I thought, we belong here just as much as anybody else does. And just like you were talking about the land, and you know, this is our land too. And there are Black farmers, and Black people have been making wine and growing grapes for years. And it just seemed very, it seemed unfair. And so I thought that as I progressed through this business and going down this journey, everything that I did was going to be community focused. And so even though we're 8 years in and we're doing, you know, American Airlines and doing all these other things, I really pride myself on being able to do more of the grassroots activities and events that we do, and being able to partner and donate because it just is an example for other people to do the same thing. So I hope that.
Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome.
Yep. Christopher.
Yeah, so on that answer, I would say the reason I put community first, and especially in our community, traditionally I feel like America doesn't do that. They don't treat Black people with respect. They don't take care of our safety, you know, so we have to do these types of things. The food program that I created, it was a little error in there. It's been 3 years that we've been feeding the community. And I really feel that in the honor of the Black Panther Party for Peace, that we have to show that we can take care of our own, especially if we have the skills. If we have the skills, if we have the resources, then we have no excuses to be able to do everything we can to make sure that we survive, and we're not just surviving, but we're thriving. So I think that my work is really about also inspiring other people that feel like they need someone to tell them what to do. And you know, some people just need a little kick, but for me, I just found it watching my grandmother be in the church, seeing what she did with other Black folks, taking care of each other, feeding each other, being in community every Sunday, having that real connection and trust, and being able to make sure that your children are all right, the elders are all right, like all that kind of stuff is very powerful. And I think when the kids are watching that, those are the kind of things we want to leave them with, so.
And you just touched on this, Christopher, and all of you did, but how can Black people redefine and decolonize our relationship to the land, given that history?
Yeah, I can start on that. Let your kids be outside. It starts there. Let your kids feel like it's okay to get dirty.
we have a lot of trauma in the Black community around being in the dirt. Same thing, we have a lot of trauma on real estate, stuff like that. It's been stolen from us, so we have to work together to make sure that we can keep it, that we can access it. So that's why I'm out in Napa, that's why I'm in Sonoma, that's why I've created a viticultural apprenticeship to make and force the safe spaces. So land is something that we all take for granted, but when you look on Instagram, you don't see everybody complaining. Some people are looking at it and really celebrating their privilege. We need to get back to understanding we do have certain privileges, and that is our community. So I really want the land to be something that we realize food comes from, shelter comes from, water, clean water, all that kind of stuff. Those are things that we need to survive. Everything else is kind of just whatever. But the core is what we need to get back to.
Thank you. That made me think of something that a farmer out in the East Coast, Chris Bolden Newsom, says. He says the land is the scene of the crime, but it was really the land that kept us safe and with shelter and with medicine and with healing. Yeah. Kelly, thoughts on how to decolonize our food system? Yeah.
I either have hella thoughts or no thoughts. Like it's
Kelly's getting on a flight to Cuba tonight, y'all. Starting her sabbatical.
Yes, please forgive me. I'm trying to keep it together. No, I think for me, my 15 years of working in community and farming is that we have to bring joy back, right? Like we have to bring back the pleasure of planting and harvesting and cultivating and fighting aphids and, you know, calling in the good pollinators and beneficial pests, right? Like that's the thing, is that there's so much trauma and there's so much just dislike of the natural world, you know? We don't understand it, we don't like it, it does what it does, I do what I do, you know? I wanna be in a place that I can control, you know, what is happening, you know, as opposed to being outside in nature where nature handles its business. I think that's the base of everything. I think that's how we start to bring back, or to think about decolonization, is what is it that folks like about outside the natural world? Is it the sunshine? Is it the smells? Is it the birds, you know? And then trying to play to those things.
If we can feed ourselves, we can free ourselves.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. Ms. Paula, your thoughts about decolonizing the food system and what that means to you?
Sort of on the same page as you. I have a lot of thoughts, or I don't have any thoughts about it. No, but I feel very much the same as the two of you, in the sense that we've gotten away, as a people, gotten away from nature. And we were kind of forced into that position, I believe, right? It wasn't by choice, because historically we always lived in nature and lived off of our land and were able to sustain ourselves. And so it is the responsibility of parents and educators to, and all of us, honestly, not just the onus or responsibility isn't just there, but to bring back the joy, to bring some understanding, to let, like, our people don't sometimes understand 100% how good it is for us to live off the land, how healthy it is. Like, that's a joyful thing to do. That's a responsible thing to do. That's a good thing for us. And sometimes we don't know, because that's not what we've been taught, or that's not what we've seen, or that's not what's around us in our neighborhoods. And so, you know, I concur with them. It's really around some education around that and exposure, that it's everybody's responsibility to make this happen, especially for the youth to see. Because remember those days when you came home from school, you just ran outside and started playing after school? I miss that for the kids. Because, you know, you learn so much at that, being in that kind of a space. So, yeah, those are my thoughts.
Thank you. This question is for anyone. To create better, brighter black food futures, what type of support do we need from the public sector and the educational sector, HBCUs, government agencies, to push for change for our communities?
Okay. Honestly, in a city like San Francisco with so much wealth, I think we need to really look at those people that have privilege and power and ask them why they don't want that for us and demand those answers, because it's starting to get very scary that we are being attacked, and our food is our life force. It is everything we need to be able to think clearly, to have good mental, social, emotional, all that kind of stuff. But eating is also where we come together and celebrate and like just really have pure happiness. And I think that if we can get those people to understand the pain that we're going through and that generations have been through, and that it's not necessarily their fault, but if you're benefiting from it, you can do something about it. So I think that's one of them. But then as far as HBCUs, everything else, all this stuff that just happened with like affirmative action, these types of things, you know what I mean? Like we need to really make sure that our kids can go to school so they can get an education and agriculture, things like that, and farming grapes. These are all money-making businesses, or the other people wouldn't be doing it either. So I think that's the reality, is that we need to stop pretending that we don't want to make money in this, that we don't want to support our families, that we just want junk food. We need to get the liquor stores out of our neighborhoods. Simple. But these are things that people have been saying for years, so when are we actually going to make it happen? So.
And I'm going to turn this question to Paula as it relates to what Chris was saying about thinking about our city structures and democratizing those to support Black food industries. How can we democratize the wine industry into a space that centers the voices and needs and the tastes, really, of our community?
So this is a challenge. This is a very big challenge because the wine industry has been historically a white male industry. And we are making some headway, and we're starting to make some changes, but it's not been easy. There's a few things. One is the people that are interested in, like myself, in being a part of this industry have to band together. Like we really have to, we've created a few organizations already, but we have to find a way to support one another in a way that we can then bring more people into this industry. We can't wait for somebody else to do it exactly. What's happening now is we are getting a lot of people that are creating new programs. There are different programs in wine and viticulture that are African American led or Latino led, and that's one way that we can help make a difference there, because it's not waiting for somebody else to give us a handout to do it, but also holding these other schools accountable to saying, or programs accountable to saying, this program needs to be diverse. And think about it. I mean, we all know the story. We're really diverse and interesting people. We bring a lot of richness and culture and things to every industry, and wine is not an exception. And so I believe that us being able to hold these other groups accountable to say, you have to also become diverse. This has to be diverse and inclusive in some way or another, your different programs. But more so, we have to band together and make it happen ourselves. The more we show up, thank you, the more we show up, which is happening now, there's the African American Association of Vintners, there's several other African American vintners associations that we work together, and then we go to some of the bigger organizations and the bigger companies to say, we need to partner with you, you need to partner with us so that we can have bigger programs for youth that are coming into wine, not youth, but students that are getting into wine, that you can put some funding towards some of these programs that are happening. It's really a part of us starting with us, and then reaching out to the different organizations that can make a difference. It's happening slowly. It's happening very slowly but surely, but I think that the more that we have access to those opportunities, the better. And it's very challenging with capital. Like, wine is a very capital-intensive business, and capital is the way that you're accessing capital. It's not easy for people of color to do so. It's very racially charged. So we also have to put together our own funding sources, or work with organizations and banks to be able to have them put together programs that are going to support people of color in getting access to capital to start these types of businesses, whether it be wine or if it's agriculture. It just it's not a fair level playing field right now, and so these are some of the things that I think need to happen.
Thank you. Yeah. Chris, anything to add about the wine industry in particular as it relates to democratizing it?
Yeah, I think a lot of people in Napa that are holding hundreds of acres, thousands of acres, could probably give up a couple, seriously. When you have events like Bottle Rock or the Blue Note Jazz Festival, they want us there, but it's consumers. So it's one of those things. It's like, if we're really talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, then the people with the biggest pocketbooks and the biggest land holdings can break off a little bit of it. And I'm sure it ain't gonna hurt them at all. I'm sure if they really want us to be at their tasting rooms, they could really be more inviting. So I think as far as education, I'm lucky that I've been working in wine long enough to make connections to where I have access to UC Davis. So that is one of the top viticultural schools in America, and I'm trying to get as many black youth into that school instead of prison. So that kind of thing. And I mean, honestly, it's also the education around wine. You know what I mean? Everybody thinks that we only drink Moscato. They think we only drink sweet wine. There are so many well-to-do black people, but we forget that because they don't want to show it. So I think we need to start also reminding our youth that they can hold themselves a certain way, that they can be in certain industries, just like tech, just like medical, all this stuff. Wine is a billion-dollar industry, so I understand why it's so hard right now. So,
Yeah, thank you for that. And I don't hate Moscato, but but you're right. College days, yes. Okay. And that's not all that I drink. Yep. Not as what is Pinot Noir? Paula's Pinot Noir. Paula's Pinot Noir. Absolutely. Yes.
I just wanted to add something really quickly on that note of talking about Moscato and sweet wines. No, we don't all drink sweet wines, but everybody has their own palate, right? And this is one thing that I really try and explain and share with people, not explain, but share with people and encourage people is, own your own palate. If whatever you like it. But learn about everything. Know the differences. Don't stick to one thing. You need to actually explore a little bit. But I always tell people, I want us to be able to go out there and be able to ask any questions we want to ask when we go to a tasting room or a restaurant or whatever, and be able to own whatever it is you like, because wine is a very personal experience, right? And everybody's palates are a little bit different. Like I mentioned, I'm a Panamanian. We're West Indian Panamanians. Everything we eat is fire. And so, I make a Riesling, and it's a dry Riesling, so it's not a sweet Riesling, but it goes really well with spicy food. And so it just depends. Everybody else might not care for that, but I think it's good to make sure you own your own palate. Yeah.
Any other West Indians out here? Yeah? Okay. Thank you for that. And as we were backstage prepping for this, I was ear hustling a little bit as Kelly and Chris were talking, and Kelly, you said something, going off script a little. You said, if I'm not going to do this, who is going to? And there's a question in there about longevity and what it takes to keep doing this and staying grounded and staying rested. And you are, I don't know if you know this, but one of my mentors, femtors. And I look to you about how to stay grounded and how to stay at peace while doing this work. And if you could shed any light on this, because this is not, leading a nonprofit in the food and ag world is not easy. Yeah.
Thank you for the question. You should ask anyone but me. I feel like I'm, when I first started Acting on Verba, close to 14 years ago, there was a movement of Heal the Healers. And I was in all these meetings with other executive directors that were talking about the cumulative effect of working with community, working in community, working against, white supremacy and systematic oppression. And I didn't know what they were talking about. I was like, I don't know. I just got here. I'm fresh. I'm ready. Let's do this. I was born for this. Bring it on. And boy, did life bring it on. This work, the community, what the community is going through on any given day for the last 14 years. What children have gone through in the pandemic. All of these things, what I have gone through, right? Like I very often, that's one reason why I'm taking my sabbatical now, is because I realized when my child left after high school that I don't really know how to be Kelly. I don't know how to be anything but a mom or acting on verba, that's all I do. Yeah, I mean, I am so proud of that, but I am also I know now what those EDs were talking about, I know now that it isn't sustainable to just keep grinding until there's no more left. But also I feel the pressure and the responsibility and the privilege of being a Black woman and saying, F it, I'll do it, right? Like, who else will, who else can? Who else has the vision, the stamina, the network, the heart, to reach out and to actually make these things happen? All that to say, I don't know. Okay. And to just, and to be really, really transparent with all of you. Like I am confused all the time. I am conflicted all the time. Is it better for my daughter to see a strong Black woman that can handle it? Or is it better for my daughter to see, a human being that's, vulnerable and confused and conflicted, Facebook says both, I don't know, but I do know, and if I don't have to speak anymore today, but I do know that we are beautiful, and we are precious, and we are beloved, and we are brilliant, and we have within us everything we need to be able to be successful in order to move the needle, in order to push the arc even more towards justice. We have the articulation, we have the stamina, we have all of those things to make it happen, but we gotta do it together, at least in part, At least some parts of this we have to do together. That's my last thing. Thank you.
This is my time right here, 3 minutes? Yeah, okay, all right. So in our last 3 minutes, I'm just gonna, no, that was great. I'm gonna close this out, and what is your favorite meal? Just as a one-sentence closeout, favorite meal, and maybe paired with your favorite wine. Yeah. So we can wrap us up here.
I don't know if I can limit this to 1 minute, but let me see here. Or one sentence, I should say. I am a meat lover, so my favorite meal is steak. A ribeye bone-in, to be specific. And and I love to pair it with my Zinfandel, or any Zinfandel. My Zinfandel is primarily Zin with a little bit of Petit Syrah and Syrah blended into it. Zins are big, hearty wines, generally speaking, that match up very well with big, hearty steaks. They won't overpower the food, and the food won't overpower the wine. They pair very, very well together. So, yeah, I'm steak and Zin.
Steak and Zin. Great.
Go ahead.
Yep.
I'm going to say one more thing about the resilience. It'll be really quick.
Yes.
There is no other way to do it. You have to wake up every single day and just make it happen. Literally, if you wake up and you can put your feet on the ground, you have another chance. So, yeah. But the food, it would be my grandmother's gumbo. And it might actually just be beer. But if I had to choose a wine, it would be a light red. Like a nice light red. Chillable, maybe.
Chilled. Kelly, you want to take us home?
Sure. Oprah told a story years ago about the most shameful thing she's ever done, LOL, was eat an entire thing of lasagna. And when I heard her say that, I was like, challenge accepted. So shame me, lasagna, shame me. So definitely, and the wine depends on the time of year because I'm a novice. So cold Chardonnay in the summer, and room temperature but breathed, or whatever expired. I don't know how. That's it. The airing, yeah, air it out, red.
Air it out.
In the winter. Thank y'all.
Well, let's give a round of applause for our panelists.